So today we're going to be going over 6 huge cologne fragrance brands and some of their best releases from each. We're going to be going over 2 per brand, giving us 12 fragrances total for this video. Now, I'll be the first to admit it was a little bit hard to narrow down 2 for each particular cologne brand here. These all have great releases. These are at the top of the game for a reason. That being said, I wanted to give us plenty of variety because each brand kind of does its own thing in a different way to me, and I didn't want to load this video down and end up with a total of 20 or 25 colognes that we're trying to cover here in a somewhat timely manner. So likely what that means is if this video goes over well, if it's something you guys like, I'll follow up and do a part 2. Maybe I'll feature some of the same brands, but just new releases from those brands, or maybe I'll just try to throw in some other cologne brands as well that are at the top of the game that I didn't mention here. Maybe a mixture of both, so be on the lookout for that video. But I think this 12 here will give you a really good starting point. You've probably heard of all of these cologne brands before, and you've probably heard of a lot of these releases as well. Possibly, maybe not, but we're going to go over each of them here in this one. And I will drop links to all of these down below to discounters so you can pick these up. Generally, we're looking at around $40 and below, maybe $50 and below for some of these. So, we're keeping it affordable relative to what they are clones of. Also, some of these can be a little bit hard to get. I can't really strategically time the release of a video like this where everything is all in stock at once. That just is something that's never going to happen. There's always going to be some things that are out of stock when doing a video like this. But what I can promise you is that if you get on my mailing list at the first link down below, anytime any of the rare, hard to find clones come into stock, I do send out an email notification allowing you the opportunity to buy it for yourself before it does sell out. And aside from clones, I do everything. Hard to find, rare, designers, niche, and everything else in between. Anything that's a good deal, anything that is worth buying right now because it's going to sell out, I send out an email. So if you want to get on that list, it's completely free. First link down below. It's going to help you out big time. Let's get it kicked off with ARMAF. Now, I don't know about you, but whenever I think of, cologne fragrances, one of the first brands that pops into my mind is ARMAF. And I do believe that ARMAF was the first cologne brand that I ever experienced myself. I think it was probably Club de Nuit Intense Man was the first ever cologne that I purchased. And from there, I've accumulated a lot of the other ARMAFs as well. There's so many to choose from. I'm just choosing 2, though, like I said. First one is actually a Club de Nuit Intense Man, but it's the limited edition PARFUM. So this is still a Creed Aventus clone, like a lot of the line is. They have an EDT, an Eau de Parfum, a PARFUM, but then they have this limited edition PARFUM. And I think this one, when you're talking about all of the clone or Creed Aventus clones from ARMAF, this is the best one. It's the richest, it's the smokiest, it's kind of the birchiest. It really utilizes that birch tar accord. It even has a real nice kind of smoky sweetness combination as well. There's a significant increase in depth with the limited edition Parfum compared to all of the others. The Eau de Toilette, the Eau de Parfum, they still work. They still hold up. They're a little bit more affordable, but if you are going to buy one and you're going to spend the money, I would step it up just a little bit more, toss in maybe an extra $15, $20, and get the limited edition Parfum if you can. It really is that much better, and it does make a big difference. Has great performance, it behaves like a Parfum, and it's a great affordable replacement to Creed Aventus. I do think everyone should have some sort of Aventus smelling thing in their collection. Not saying everyone needs to go out and buy the real deal and spend that amount of money. Definitely not. But the clones make it very doable. And ironically, the other choice from ARMAF here is from the same line, but it's a completely different scent entirely. It's kind of confusing how they do this, but you'll get used to it. That's just how ARMAF likes to roll. It's Club de Nuit Untold, actually one of their newest releases. They dropped 4 brand new ones all at once. Actually, Fragrance By brought them to market, and so all of us here in the US and Canada were able to get these for a good price right off the bat. This is one of them. Comes in right around $55, $59 for 105 ml. And this is a clone of Baccarat Rouge 540. Which is the brand's first take on this one. They haven't done a BR540 clone until now. A little late to the party, but they did a great job on this one. It's going to be more focused on the eau de parfum versus the extrait, so closer to BR540 EDP, which to me I think is perfectly fine. The extrait is amazing as well. That almond accord is really nice, but this is a really nice interpretation on that DNA at a price that is just completely dirt cheap when you're comparing it to especially the retail price of BR540. Whether you're getting the small bottle or the big one, there's a huge price gap. And really, this makes it to where you don't even need to completely break yourself to buy a real bottle of BR540. You just don't need it when you have something like this. Great stuff. This is one that, because it's new, because the supply is limited, they're probably trying to catch up still. It's out of stock often, but it actually just came in stock a couple days ago. I sent out an email, sold out pretty quickly, but you guys get the drift here. Get on that list and you'll be able to get hooked up. So let's go from one A brand to the other with AFNAN. You might notice a lot of these clone brands start with A. Not really sure why, but AFNAN, another brand that has been around for a long time. You've seen them all over the place, and they have a lot of great offerings. Another one that was tricky. It was going back and forth between quite a few things. First one I chose, and one of the first that came to mind, was 9 PM. It's a clone of Ultramale. I am a huge fan of Jean Paul Gaultier Ultramale, have been for years now. It was one of the foundational fragrances to my collection, I guess you could call it. I got it very early on. Love it, still do. Problem with that one is it's a little bit pricey even now, even still, and on discounters. You know, you're paying $85, $90 depending on bottle size. This AFNAN comes in right at around $40, so you're getting a great price, great performance, very close to Ultramale. And what I also really like about just these AFNAN fragrances in general is, one, there's actually a couple things. One, the quality of these are impressive. They're really good. Definitely, I would say, at the almost top of the game when it comes to fragrance clone quality. And again, I'm talking in this price point. So in this $40, $50 price point where these usually fall, AFNAN, they put out some very impressive quality scents. The other thing is their presentations, usually across the board, are really good. This one is no exception. Nice heavy glass, nice cap, custom presentation, I believe. I don't think I've seen this type of bottle anywhere else, although I'm sure it probably is out there, but not every brand is using this bottle like some other stock bottles. It just feels quality. It doesn't look like a clone fragrance like the ARMAFs and like a lot of the other brands, so this doesn't really stick out like a sore thumb when you're displaying it in your collection. May sound kind of like a mute point, but it really is something that is important to people, and myself included. I think this looks very classy. And sticking with the same brand, we have AFNAN TURATHI BLEU, another one that immediately came to mind, and especially when we're talking about quality and blend. This, to me, does not wear and feel like a clone fragrance. Now, this one's basically going after Bulgari Tiger, which is an expensive, kind of private blend, exclusive line edition of the Bulgari brand. They have a lot in that line. Just you can't get them at discounters. They're expensive, that sort of thing. It's really all about the bergamot, the amber, the patchouli. It smells beautiful. It's refined. It's classy. It's very much a gentleman's scent. And again, this one smells so premium. It wears so premium. The presentation on this one is a little bit more clone looking, but it still is high quality. But I mean, the scent is just completely gorgeous, and it's a great way to stand out without having to spend a bunch of money. Okay, next up we have MAISON Alhambra. So here's the deal. MAISON Alhambra is basically Lattafa. Okay, Lattafa has MAISON Alhambra, and actually I think one or two other kind of separate entities that they release fragrances under. So for the sake of this video, I'm treating MAISON Alhambra as its own brand, and I'm going to cover a segment for Lattafa here coming up. I wanted to split it up because I wanted to be able to feature all of these, or as many as I could, because they have a lot of killer offerings as well. But first up with Alhambra, we have the Tux, and I think it's no surprise here what they're going after. It's a premium tuxedo clone. It's one of the best on the market, and surprisingly enough, also one of the cheapest. When it comes to accuracy, this is much closer compared to something like Roca's Mustache Eau de Parfum. That one's about double the price of this, and it's pretty close. It does do its own thing, and I think in one way or another, they were kind of trying to go after that scent DNA, but with their own twist. I still love Mustache Eau de Parfum. I will still wear it. I will still feature it. But when we're talking about an accuracy standpoint, trying to get as close to Tuxedo as possible at the lowest price, the Tux is winning that race there. So yeah, I think it's around $25 when in stock, but that's just the thing. It's not always in stock. This one, I think, is a little bit newer to market, and so one of those deals where you just kind of are going to be sitting around waiting for it. Get on that mailing list. When it pops up, I'll get an email out there. You'll be able to buy it, no problem. Another one from Alhambra here. They have, again, many to choose from, so it's just kind of having to choose what I think is very fitting for this particular theme that we're going after. It's Woody Oud. It's an eau de parfum and Tom Ford Oud Wood clone. So Alhambra has been going after the presentation as well, which I think is pretty cool. And they definitely are doing a good job at it. Just kind of a oversized private blend bottle here. And I can't remember the bottle size. That doesn't really look like 100 mils. I mean, they have a lot of just straight up glass. So, you know, you can see this is all just empty space filled in with glass. That might be 80 mil. I don't know. I don't think it's quite as low as 50. I can't remember. But point is, it's Oud Wood at a complete fraction of the price. It's really good quality, good performance, smells fantastic, very classy. And speaking of Lattafa, we're going to go ahead and cover those now. And again, it's just one of those deals where I had to, because they have a lot of great offerings just under this main Lattafa brand. First one that comes to mind for me anyway, Lattafa Assad. This is a Dior Sauvage Elixir clone. I believe one of the first out there, at least the first to mass market. I use quotes because this has really only made it to Fragrance By, but they have a lot of reach and they were able to get this stuff all over the place in the US and Canada by this point. It's been in stock and sold out many times, but we're talking thousands of units at this point. And again, it's a similar deal. It's usually around $22, $25 for 100 mil. It's a great price when in stock. It does sell out quick. I send out emails on this stuff all the time. There's a couple other Sauvage Elixir clones out there. One is, I believe, Fragrance World Salvo Elixir, which I do have, and I've shot a video on it. It might not be out yet. Pretty sure it is Fragrance World. It's hard to get all these brands straight. And I think there's another one. Might be a Paris Corner slash, yeah, I can't remember. It might be Suave Elixir. Can't remember. Couple out there. This is the first one to really make it all over the place. And it's great. It gets this DNA down to a T. The cinnamon, the licorice, the nutmeg. Oh man, all the sandalwood. It's classy. It's very warm and spicy, and definitely a kind of a refreshed approach on a very oversaturated DNA. And Lattafa Camera has received a hefty amount of hype as well. This is Angel's Share, but with a twist. It's a little bit more, kind of a different approach in terms of this almost caramelized, I don't know, caramelized kind of nutty smell, almost like a dates accord, or there's something different that doesn't quite align fully with Angel Share, but it still does take a lot of attributes from that one, just with a little bit of a different approach. There are some other Angel Share clones out there. There's, I think it's a Paris Corner Amir Fire Your Desire. It's a great one. That one's a little bit more close, but I do actually like the differences when it comes to something like this, because I already have the real deal, obviously, and some of the other clones. So this is a situation where it provides something a little bit new and fresh, but still familiar enough to where it's not something completely crazy and out there. Usually around $35. Again, it's another hype one. In stock, out of stock, plays that game all the time, but it is one worth hunting down. All right, jumping over to Fragrance World. They have a lot of clones. All of these brands do, but so does Fragrance World. And I'm still exploring. They're a little bit tricky to get. They're not on the big discounters yet. I would imagine with the way they're taking over the market now, on eBay and places like that, that I would assume they would start working their way into the discounters, and hopefully they can buy them in enough bulk to really drive the prices down. But we'll have to see. A lot of things to choose from. I have a lot of them now, but Going to go over two. We have Supreme L'Homme Extreme, which is an eau de parfum by Fragrance World, and I'm sure you could tell what this is a clone of. And yes, it is true. It's a clone of Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Extreme, and it is really, really good and very close. It has that plum, it has that almond, it has that tobacco. They got it down about as close as I would imagine possible. I don't really see anything I would change to make it closer. I'm sure they probably can't get it any more close than this. Would I be able to tell a difference between the two blindfolded? I think I would, just because I love the real deal. I have a lot of skin time with it. I've smelled it a ton, but you know, it might be a little bit of a challenge. Great quality, great performance, great clone. I'm happy to see this because Ideal Extreme itself is hard to get and it's more expensive. This one's still a little bit hard to get for now. I would imagine it'll expand, but it is significantly more affordable. And from the same brand, we have Parfum D'Hommes Intense. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you could tell by their styling here what they have going on. A Dior Homme Intense clone. Now, I've been racking my brain, but I don't think that we have any other DHI clones on the market. Now, obviously, there are many things that smell similar in a similar vein. You could say Uomo Intense, Gentleman Eau de Parfum. You could even say something like Iris Empire by Carolina Herrera, but I don't consider those to be clones. They're from big designer brands with big budgets, and they're tweaking them in ways enough to where it's not a clone to me. Just like would be like saying Dylan Blue is a clone of Sauvage. They're not. They're similar, but they're not clones. This is, to me, or at least what I've found to be the first like true fragrance clone brand going after Dior Homme Intense, and I have to give them credit. They did a stellar job. It has a dusty, powdery, lipsticky, chocolatey sweet iris DNA down to about as close as you could get to me, and it smells great. I'm excited about this because it's a great option for people who don't want to spend well over $100, even at discounters, on Dior Homme Intense. You get this for about $40. It's a great one to have. Awesome stuff. And last up, ALHAMBRA, another huge giant in the clone space. I think they claim they've been out since 1970, or they've been around since 1970. Regardless of that, they have a lot of ones that have ranked really well and very high in the community. So had to pick and choose just two of them. We have DETOUR Noir, no brainer. One of the best latent clones on the market. I would say this, and then Amber Oud BLEU, or Exclusive BLEU, is a really good one by Amber Oud. Kind of a weird scenario there. I'm not going to get into it, but that's a great one, very premium, but so is this. And this is around $35 for 100 ml on places like Fragrance By. Pretty consistently in stock now, not too much of an issue. But man, is it good. It gets that latent DNA down to a science. And it's great to see because Latent and other Parfums de Marly scents are starting to be a little bit tricky to get it at discounted prices. Discounters have them left and right in stock, but they're taking away the discount part and they're marking them at retail. Same with Initio. Initio and Parfums de Marly are owned by the same company, same people, if you didn't know that. So not sure what their plan is there, but that's making it tough. It's making it harder to recommend those when you're having to pay that price now. But this gives you an opportunity to get into Latent at a significantly lower price. And another ALHAMBRA here to end the video. We have Amber Oud Blue Edition. This is a Bleu de Chanel clone, but a really, really good one. It's kind of like a hybrid situation, really just combining some attributes of the eau de toilette, some of the eau de parfum, and even a little bit of a kind of woody, slight sweetness of the parfum. So basically taking the best of all three Bleu de Chanel versions that we have, at least right now, and featuring them into one and then giving it to you at a lower price. So, you know, in one way, instead of spending $100+ per bottle to get the entire Bleu de Chanel trifecta, you could spend whatever this is, 40 something, and get a combination of all of them. If you wanted to look at it that way, really just up to you. But it's Bleu de Chanel, and it's a really good inspiration of it at a significantly lower price. But the quality really doesn't take too much of a drop. It really holds up. Not Chanel quality, but it holds up, especially in this price range. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. 6 huge clone brands and a couple of their best releases from each. Like I said, 12 total here, but you know, it's barely scratching the surface of these brands. So I'll do a part 2 follow up with some more great releases from these brands and maybe work in a couple others that we haven't talked about as well. Other brands, that is. The next video will have all different stuff entirely. Links will be down below, and again, if anything is rare, hard to find, or whatever in this video, or just in general in the fragrance world, mailing list, first link, sign up, you'll be taken care of. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.